Hi everyone, and welcome to the first Plumsall webinar of 2021. Now today we're going to examine the challenges of setting KPIs for 2021 after what, for most people, has been a fraught and often tumultuous 2020. Now, as business leaders, it's often difficult to forecast accurately, and let's be honest, a killer global pandemic has made this year almost impossible. The recent news of further national lockdown and all the other restrictions that go along with it in the UK have further muddied the waters. Now that said, you've got to set your goals and KPIs based on what you already know and what your likely scenarios are. And once you've done that, it's imperative to ensure that you have the best possible data to flesh out those decisions and ensure that you're one step ahead of others in your key markets. Now, as part of this webinar, we're going to look at four main KPIs that we think you need to examine as you start the journey through 2021. Now, those four main KPIs are your growth and market share, your profitability, productivity, and then finally, overall business value. So take the first one, growth and market share. Now, the first step to setting your growth and market share KPIs for 2021 is to assess several key elements. Did you grow throughout 2020, or were your main markets completely shuttered? Are you growing faster than key rivals in key markets, or are you being left behind? How do you compare to the overall industry averages in your key markets? Are there other companies getting it right that you could emulate? And then finally, how big do you want your business to be? Now, if 2020 brought unprecedented demand to your key market, how do you lock in recent gains and ensure that you avoid a painful hangover type crash in the coming year? Many industries that we talk to could experience a painful slump after customers have beat down their doors in 2020. Now, the following industries, having spoke to a number of people, the following industries are those that we feel are most likely to experience lower demand as the population increasingly emerges from lockdown. That'd be garden equipment and furniture, as obviously people rush to the gardens in the lovely summer in the first lockdown. But as people increasingly are vaccinated and the crisis abates, gardens are no longer going to be a primary outdoor venue. PPE suppliers, some customers that we spoke to have 2 or 3 years worth of stock already, and demand could continue to slacken in 2021 as the pandemic subsides. Takeaway foods. As more and more people can go out and socialise, demand for home-based eating is likely to come under pressure. DIY retail. I'm sure we all upgraded our house in one way or the other as the need for more space became urgent with homework and homeschooling, etc. Home office tech and equipment. As above, as more people return to the office in the second half of 2021, how long can the market continue to boom? Now, if more than 60% of the population are vaccinated and normality returns by mid-year, at the latest according to government estimates, what next for the protagonists within these high-demand markets of the last 12 months? Will those companies with the financial resources look to consolidate their position, maybe acquire a weaker competitor? Could other companies diversify in search of growth while equilibrium is restored in the traditional markets over the next 12 to 18 months? Other industries are being decimated by the ongoing surge in the pandemic. However, fingers crossed, with more jabs going into the population's arms, to quote Boris Johnson, there's a growing urgency to get growth plans in place now for when the economy bounces back. Failing to set the right ambitious KPIs now with the second half of 2021 in mind could see many companies left behind as consumers flock back to pubs and restaurants and attend conferences and book holidays, snap up airline seats and get back to live sports and concerts and all the other things that I think we're all looking forward to getting back to doing. Now, whether you're operating in a lockdown market with pent-up demand or you've ridden a wave in 2021 now, is the time to focus on what comes next. And Plimsoll can help you set your KPIs for 2021. Now, should you be relying on traditional markets as your sole source of growth, or is it time to diversify into new areas? What are the KPIs for new markets that you could be looking at? And what are the new norms for this post-virus world will hopefully all emerge into in late spring, early summer? Now, regardless of your market and your plans, Plimsoll can help you assess the state of play, find the best growth opportunities for 2021, identify the best performers, and benchmark your own performance while you develop your own strategy accordingly. So the next KPI we'll look at is profitability. As the old saying goes, sales are for vanity and profits for sanity. Now, that's never been truer than in 2021. Many of the industries thought of as being the main, I hesitate to use the word beneficiary, but the beneficiaries of the crisis have struggled to match sales growth with heightened profit margins. These companies, a lot of these companies, not all, but a lot of these companies have had to reconfigure their business almost in real time while they're dealing with exploding demand, which is never, ever an easy job. It's always easier to plan for profit rather than achieve it, on the fly, as it were. Now, furloughed staff, working from home, and the other new norms that 2020 forced on the country have shown many businesses how to protect or even bolster profit levels, even in the face of falling sales. So how do you set your profitability KPIs after what was a difficult 2020? Companies will be forced to address several key areas in setting KPIs for 2021. Which parts of your business are still making a profit? What resources do you need to service those parts of your business? Do you really need such large premises or large fleets of vehicles or big expense accounts and so on? Which parts of your business weren't profitable even before COVID-19 arrived on our shores? How profitable is your business compared to the rest of your market? And what are the prevailing profit trends? In some markets, simply being more profitable than everyone else might just be enough for this coming year. And what other more profitable markets could you move into? Now, the virus and its aftermath are predicted to change many aspects of how we do business permanently. And those permanent changes could directly impact profitability and how it's measured. Why, for example, would you fly somebody to the other side of Europe when it can be done just as effectively from a PC remotely? Would a hybrid home office-based working pattern allow you to reduce the need for large, expensive office space? 2020 revealed opportunities to diversify into new markets that are far more profitable than traditional ones. Examples we've recently seen include meat and food wholesalers. Now, the sector was hammered by the lockdown of restaurants, and as that happened, some wholesalers spotted an opportunity. They pivoted to direct-to-customer selling through couriers. This opened up new, more profitable markets for this niche industry that really should have been decimated with the shutdown of high-end restaurants, particularly in the capital. Online pharmacies, as lockdown became even tougher in early 2020, so the explosion in e-commerce continued. The pharmacy delivery business was one that saw traditional retail-based providers often move solely online, and many will probably stay there. Why incur the cost of bricks and mortar shop-based pharmacies when cheap courier services and customers' increasing embrace of online shopping can deliver far better returns? Now, 2020 saw profit margins under extreme pressure, as in many cases, costs had to be covered despite lower sales. Now, even those industries where sales did increase, meeting demand efficiently couldn't be guaranteed. However, lessons from the pandemic have presented new, more profitable ways to run a business. Now, Plimsoll can help you set your profit KPIs for 2021 by looking at who you are beating and who's outperforming you in your key markets. What are those within your key markets doing differently? And what are the mistakes of the poor performers that you need to avoid? We can let you see the longer term trends in profitability and help you to identify where you could and where you must make improvements to maintain your financial stability. And we can also help you to find opportunities in new, more profitable markets and help reduce your reliance just on the narrow sector that's delivering low returns. The next KPI we'll look at is productivity. The perennial challenge of the British economy. How do we get more from our most complicated resource, essentially our people? For much of 2020, many sectors of the economy have, of course, seen the government covering the costs of staffing through the furlough scheme, which by the time it's projected to end, will have run far over 12 months. Now, as we move past the pandemic and towards recovery in the second half of 2021, support systems are likely to be wound down. As that happens, decisions are going to have to be made. There's some difficult questions that business leaders are going to have to answer, when looking to set KPIs for the year ahead, including how big a business do we want to be by the end of 2021 and beyond? How many people do we really need to achieve that goal? What alternative assets to human resources would achieve better returns? Can we lose staff through natural wastage, or do we need to make forced redundancies? And can we pivot to other markets to retrain current staff? Now, the coronavirus crisis presents a unique opportunity for companies to recalibrate the business to cope with the new reality in 2021. Now, with businesses being forced to focus on the parts of their operations that generate profit, now's the time to review the human resource requirement of those plans. Now, there are growing examples of industries where technology is being utilised to enhance the productivity of companies. Now, a couple spring to mind that they're the most obvious: food and retail. Automation's increasingly seen in retail and food sectors, replacing human roles with automated machines. Not only do these innovations enhance customer experience, they increase profit and increase the productivity of the remaining workforce. Distribution is another area with the introduction of innovations such as drone delivery and delivery of digital content. It's changing the distribution models of many sectors. In others, such as the hospitality sector, the only KPI companies can set is future-looking and based on estimates of when markets will reopen enough to function effectively. All companies can really do at this current point is to ensure that the KPIs they set are challenging enough but realistic. Now, Plimsoll can help you to set the right productivity KPIs for 2021 to ensure you're among the most efficient in your market. Now, to help you do that, we can provide you with an instant assessment of your overall efficiency heading into the pandemic, a comparison against other leading players in your core markets, a benchmark of your productivity for all the key markets you operate in, and potential markets to pivot towards that offer far greater productivity. So the last KPI to measure is business valuation. Now, the ultimate measure of business performance is how much the company is worth and what value is being generated for its shareholders. Now, as a raw financial percentage, shareholders have actually lost the most from the pandemic. Now, setting a valuation KPI for 2021 must refocus on adding value to those people that essentially fund it. Any valuation is, of course, intrinsically linked to the profit the company is generating. However, there are several decisions business leaders need to make as they set their valuation KPI for 2021. Now, how much longer will shareholders fund a business without adequate return? What are the elements of the business that are reducing its value moving forward? Do you sacrifice business value gains in 2021 and aim for a bigger rebound in 2022? And then finally, what is the overall value KPI for 2021 for your business? Now, companies across hospitality, tourism and retail have seen their values plummet. There's no getting away from that. Revenues have plummeted, profits have been squeezed like no other time in living memory. Now, setting a business valuation KPI in those sectors for the whole of 2021 is going to be incredibly difficult. However, the line of travel for business valuations is likely to be more important than an ultimate measure for the year. If companies within those sectors can head out of 2021 with a rise in valuation and plans in place to further increase it in 2022, that could be considered a success, because we just don't know when those markets are going to be fully opened again. Other sectors that have proved more robust throughout 2020 and the early part of the pandemic, that have appeared pandemic-proof almost, you might say, need to set an appropriate valuation KPI just like any other year. Do all of their business activities add value? How does their value compare to other companies in their major markets? And what are the next steps for 2021 and beyond? Certainly companies in the likes of PPE, IT, cybersecurity and the delivery sectors all face challenges to maintain growth in their business values that we've seen over the recent year and preceding that as well. So setting KPIs in such a disruptive on-off economic climate is going to be incredibly tough. You know your respective industries better than anyone, certainly better than we do, and you'll have a feeling for when you might get back to normal or whether business will continue to boom if you're lucky enough to be in an industry that's seen an explosion in demand. Now, at Plimsoll, we can ensure you are setting your KPIs for 2021, regardless of your industry or your sector, from an informed position and with the best possible intelligence available. Now, the following, I'm just going to show you a very brief video just to showcase how Plimsoll's unique method of analysis can help you to better set your KPIs across all the major metrics as we move through 2021. So thank you for attending our latest webinar. We'd like to offer you a free copy of our new Market Monitor report on any industry of your choice, any UK industry of your choice. To claim your copy, just drop us an email confirming which industry you would like to receive your free report on to enquiries@plimsoll.co.uk. So if you'd like any further information on how Plimsoll can help you make more informed decisions and set better KPIs in 2021, just give us a call on 01642 626 400 and speak to one of our specialists today. So that concludes this latest webinar. We wish you all the best for 2021 and hope that normality returns to your markets as soon as possible. Thank you.